Your ego is not your ally. It is your loudest enemy wearing your face. It craves recognition, demands fairness, and reacts emotionally when reality refuses to bow. Every time you feel the urge to explain yourself, defend your intentions, or announce your plans, that is ego-leaking power. Machiavellian discipline begins with execution, not expression. The man who dominates reality understands this brutal truth. Attention is currency, and the ego spends it recklessly. Silence, on the other hand, compounds it. When you stop narrating your life, you start controlling it. The world cannot attack what it cannot read. Your emotions, if displayed, become handles for manipulation. Your ambitions, if spoken, become targets for sabotage. This is why the strongest players appear calm, unreadable, almost indifferent. They are not passive. They are restrained. They are choosing timing over impulse. Ego wants speed. Power prefers patience. Kill the part of you that wants to be seen winning, and you will start winning without witnesses. This is uncomfortable because ego equates silence with invisibility, but in Machiavellian mode, invisibility is advantage. Comment the phrase, ego silent, power awake. If you understand that dominance starts internally, read it again. Ego, silent, power awake. This is not self-improvement. This is self-erasure of weakness. Number 2. Silence is not empty, it is loaded. Silence is not the absence of action, it is the preparation of impact. Weak men speak to relieve pressure. Strong men stay quiet to increase it. Every second you remain silent, while others expose themselves, you gain leverage. This is dark psychology at its purest. People reveal their fears, desires, insecurities, and strategies through words. When you talk too much, you donate information. When you listen, you collect weapons. Machiavellian power is built on asymmetry. They know you less than you know them. That imbalance alone bends outcomes in your favor. Silence forces others to project. They fill the void with assumptions, often underestimating or misjudging you. That misjudgment is an opening. Masculine Stoicism is not emotional suppression. It is emotional command. You feel everything, but you show nothing that can be used against you. The moment you master this, conversations change, rooms shift. People start talking faster, explaining more, seeking your approval without realizing it. Silence creates gravity. It signals confidence without display. It unsettles egos addicted to reaction. This is why silence feels uncomfortable at first. Your nervous system has been trained to equate speaking with safety. But safety is irrelevant. Control is the objective. When you stop reacting instantly, you reclaim time. When you reclaim time, you reclaim choice. And choice is power. This is why in Machiavellian mode, restraint beats aggression. A sharp blade stays sheathed until the exact moment it cannot miss. Comment the phrase, silence is my weapon. If you feel this clicking into place, let that phrase mark the shift from noise to control. Understand this deeply. The man who needs to be understood is already subordinate. The man who observes quietly decides the outcome before anyone else realizes a game is being played. You are not here to be expressive. You are here to be effective. Silence is how vision sharpens. Vision is how reality bends. Number 3. Sharpen your vision by starving distraction. Your vision is blurred because your attention is divided, and divided attention is weakness. Every notification, argument, pointless debate, and emotional reaction steals a fragment of your focus, and over time, those fragments add up to a man who cannot see clearly, decide decisively, or move with intent. Machiavellian discipline demands ruthless subtraction. You do not add motivation, you remove noise. The ego loves distraction because distraction keeps you busy without making you dangerous. Masculine Stoicism understands that clarity is not found in chaos, but in stillness. When you silence unnecessary input, patterns emerge. You begin to notice who speaks to influence, who flatters to control, who opposes out of insecurity rather than strength. This is how vision sharpens. You stop seeing people as they present themselves and start seeing them as they are. Dark psychology begins with awareness, not manipulation. You cannot dominate a system you do not fully observe. When your mind is crowded, you react emotionally. When your mind is quiet, you anticipate. Anticipation beats reaction every time. The world moves fast, but power moves ahead of it. This is why impulsive men feel constantly overwhelmed, while disciplined men appear calm under pressure. They are not calmer by nature. They have removed distractions that drain cognitive energy. Vision requires space. Silence creates that space internally. When you stop consuming everything, you start selecting intentionally. What you allow into your mind shapes your decisions. What you reject strengthens your authority over yourself. In Machiavellian mode, self-control is the foundation of external control. If you cannot govern your attention, you will always be governed by someone else's agenda. Sharpening vision also means emotional detachment. This does not mean apathy, it means precision. You feel emotions fully but refuse to let them drive. You observe them like data, not commands. That alone separates predators from prey. Comment the phrase, "clear mind, ruthless focus." If you recognize how much power you have been leaking through distraction, let that phrase anchor this shift. As your vision sharpens, patience becomes effortless. You stop forcing outcomes and start positioning yourself so outcomes are inevitable. This is where domination begins quietly. No announcements, no validation, just alignment between thought, timing, and action. When vision is clear, reality becomes predictable. And what is predictable can be controlled. Number 4. Emotional discipline is the core of dominance. Power is not built on rage, excitement, or motivation. It is built on emotional discipline so absolute that nothing external can shake your internal structure. Most men believe emotions are something to express or suppress, but Machiavellian intelligence treats emotions as raw data. You observe them, extract information, and then discard their authority. The moment your emotions dictate your actions, someone else is driving you. Anger exposes timing, excitement reveals intention, fear leaks boundaries. This is why emotionally reactive men are easy to manipulate. They advertise their triggers. In Machiavellian mode, you do the opposite. You feel deeply, but you reveal nothing. You do not deny emotion, you dominate it. Masculine Stoicism is not numbness, it is command. You can be insulted without responding, provoked without reacting, tested without flinching. That composure is not passive, it is intimidating. It signals that your decisions come from strategy, not stimulus. Emotional discipline also breaks the addiction to instant relief. Most reactions are not about truth, they are about discomfort. Speaking too soon, confronting too early, explaining unnecessarily are all attempts to escape internal tension. The disciplined man sits with tension until it becomes clarity. That patience creates leverage. While others rush to feel better, you wait to win. Dark psychology thrives in this space because humans are predictable under emotional pressure. They rush, they overcommit, they contradict themselves, and all the while you are silent, gathering information, calibrating your response. Emotional control also sharpens respect. People instinctively trust and defer to those who are not ruled by mood. Calm authority stabilizes environments. Chaos retreats from certainty. This is why leaders who last are not the loudest or most charismatic, but the most controlled. If you cannot regulate yourself, you will never regulate outcomes. In Machiavellian terms, self-mastery precedes social mastery. Emotional discipline turns time into an ally. You stop fighting moments and start choosing them. When you finally act, your action lands cleanly, decisively, and without resistance. That is domination without noise. Comment the phrase, "I rule my reactions." If you understand that control begins inside the nervous system before it ever appears in the world, let that phrase mark your refusal to be emotionally predictable. As this discipline deepens, something profound happens. People stop trying to provoke you, not because they respect you consciously, but because instinct tells them it is useless. You become psychologically solid, untouchable. This is the inner game Machiavelli never wrote directly, but understood completely. When you are no longer reactive, you are no longer manageable. And a man who cannot be managed must be negotiated with on his terms, alone. Number 5. Strategic patience turns time into a weapon. Most men lose not because they are weak, but because they are impatient. They reveal too early, strike too fast, commit before the terrain is mapped. Impatience is the ego's last defense mechanism when it feels ignored. It wants resolution now, recognition now, victory now. Machiavellian dominance rejects urgency unless urgency is chosen. Strategic patience is not waiting passively. It is waiting with intent, while others exhaust themselves. When you master patience, time stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you use against others. People expose themselves over time. Masks slip, stories change, motives surface. The impatient man interrupts this process. The patient man lets it ripen. This is why silence combined with patience is devastating. Others mistake your stillness for indecision and reveal more, push harder, or make mistakes trying to force movement. Masculine Stoicism understands that restraint creates psychological pressure. The longer you do not react, the more others feel compelled to act. That compulsion is leverage. Dark psychology does not require manipulation when human nature does the work for you. Strategic patience also separates impulse from action. You may feel the desire to respond, to correct, to dominate immediately, but you do not obey that urge. You file it away. You wait for alignment between timing, position, and outcome. When those align, action is effortless and irreversible. This is why true power looks slow until it suddenly looks inevitable. Machiavellian Mode teaches you to value positioning over movement. A single well-timed decision outweighs 1,000 emotional reactions. Patience also builds reputation without noise. People begin to associate you with stability, foresight, and control. They do not know why they trust your judgment. They just feel that you see further ahead. That perception alone bends hierarchies. In competitive environments, patience frustrates aggressors because it denies them the reaction they need to gauge strength. You become unreadable. Unreadable men are dangerous because they cannot be predicted. Strategic patience also protects you from traps. Many conflicts are designed to pull you into emotional expenditure while someone else benefits. When you delay, you expose the trap. When you rush, you walk into it willingly. This is why Machiavellian thinkers respect time more than talent. Talent without patience burns out. Patience without talent still wins through endurance and timing. Comment the phrase, "I move when it pays." If you understand that waiting is not weakness, but calibration, let that phrase remind you that you are not late, you are deliberate. As patience becomes instinct, your internal rhythm slows while the world rushes. That contrast gives you clarity. You stop chasing outcomes and start shaping conditions. When conditions are right, outcomes follow automatically. This is domination at its cleanest. No struggle, no friction, just cause and effect arranged in your favor. The impatient man lives in reaction. The patient man lives in strategy, and strategy always outlives force. When you control time, you control escalation, de-escalation, and resolution. You decide when things begin and when they end. That is real authority. Number 6. Dominate reality by controlling perception. Reality is not ruled by truth, it is ruled by perception, and the man who understands this stops wasting energy trying to be right and starts positioning himself to be believed, deferred to, and followed. Most men live inside their own intentions, assuming the world sees what they feel, what they mean, what they deserve. That assumption is weakness. Machiavellian intelligence begins the moment you accept that people do not respond to your inner world. They respond to what you project, what you allow them to see, and what you refuse to clarify. Perception is shaped through consistency, restraint, and selective visibility. When you speak less, every word gains weight. When you act less often, every action gains meaning. Scarcity creates value in markets and in human behavior. If you are always available, always explaining, always reacting, you train people to see you as predictable and manageable. When you become selective, perception shifts. People begin to watch you more closely. They speculate. They fill gaps with assumptions. And assumptions, once formed, are difficult to reverse. This is where dominance quietly forms. You do not argue narratives. You allow others to build them in your favor. Masculine Stoicism strengthens this because emotional neutrality reads as confidence. Calm presence under uncertainty makes others look to you for cues. They mirror your composure. They wait for your signal. This is not manipulation through lies. It is influence through structure. Dark psychology at this level is simply an understanding of how human minds seek stability. When you are stable, others orbit. Controlling perception also means refusing unnecessary transparency. Transparency is praised by those who benefit from your exposure. Power has always moved behind curtains. You do not owe the world access to your thoughts, struggles, or next moves. The moment you announce a plan, you introduce resistance, envy, and interference. The disciplined man moves first, explains never, and lets results speak. Results silence critics more effectively than words ever could. In Machiavellian mode, credibility is earned through outcomes, not claims. Perception is further shaped by what you do not tolerate. Boundaries communicate faster than explanations. When you calmly withdraw from disrespect, when you do not chase clarification, when you let consequences unfold without emotional display, people recalibrate their behavior around you. They sense limits even if you never state them. This is dominance without confrontation. Control perception long enough, and reality follows. Opportunities present themselves differently. People approach you with caution, respect, or curiosity instead of entitlement. This is not accidental. It is the cumulative effect of silence, patience, emotional discipline, and timing converging. Comment the phrase, "I shape how I am seen," if you understand that influence begins before words are spoken. Let that phrase lock in this shift. As perception aligns, you gain another advantage: plausible deniability. You are not boxed into expectations because you never overshare. You can pivot without appearing inconsistent. You can strike without appearing aggressive. You can withdraw without appearing weak. This flexibility is strategic superiority. The rigid man breaks under pressure. The fluid man redirects pressure into advantage. Perception management also protects your inner game. When fewer people know your intentions, fewer people can contaminate your focus with doubt, opinion, or projection. You operate from internal clarity instead of external noise. This is why truly powerful men appear boring to the uninitiated. No drama, no constant updates, just quiet movement and delayed revelation. When the result appears, it looks sudden, but it was constructed patiently over time. Machiavelli understood that the appearance of effortlessness is itself a form of power. It discourages challenge. It invites alignment. When you dominate perception, you stop fighting reality and start editing it. People respond to the version of you they believe exists, not the one you privately feel. That belief, once established, becomes self-reinforcing. Doors open, resistance softens, authority grows without demand. This is not ego inflation. This is ego absence. You are not trying to be admired. You are positioning yourself to be unavoidable. Comment again. I shape how I am seen. If this lands deeper now, notice how this inner game requires less effort, not more. You are removing friction, not forcing outcomes. That is the Machiavellian advantage. When perception is aligned, domination becomes subtle, sustainable, and almost invisible. Number 7. Remove dependence and you remove control. The final leash on most men is not fear, not ignorance, not even ego, but dependence. Because the moment you need approval, validation, permission, or emotional reassurance, you hand leverage to whoever can supply or withhold it. Machiavellian dominance begins when you identify every invisible dependency running your behavior and cut it without ceremony. Dependence disguises itself as loyalty, politeness, morality, even love, but beneath it is the same weakness, the inability to stand complete without external confirmation. Masculine Stoicism treats independence as a discipline, not a personality trait. You are not born free, you train freedom. Emotional dependence is the most corrosive because it distorts judgment. When you fear losing connection, you soften boundaries. When you crave approval, you compromise strategy. When you seek reassurance, you reveal insecurity. Each of these gives others a handle on you. In Machiavellian mode, you remove handles. You do not threaten withdrawal, you simply become unavailable to manipulation. This does not mean isolation or arrogance. It means self-sufficiency at the psychological level. You enjoy connection, but you do not require it to function. That distinction is everything. Dark psychology understands that humans test boundaries unconsciously. They push, provoke, and withhold to see what controls you. If a delayed reply destabilizes you, time controls you. If criticism derails you, opinion controls you. If rejection angers you, scarcity controls you. The disciplined man notices these reactions and dismantles them methodically. He does not announce independence. He demonstrates it through non-reactivity. Over time, people sense this. They feel it. They stop trying to pull you off center because it does not work. Dependence also appears in identity. If you need to be seen as good, smart, dominant, or moral, you become predictable. You start defending labels instead of pursuing outcomes. Machiavellian intelligence discards rigid identity in favor of adaptability. You are what the situation requires, not what your ego wants to maintain. This fluidity makes you difficult to trap. Emotional independence also changes how you deal with loss. When you are not dependent, loss becomes data, not devastation. You analyze, adjust, and continue. This resilience compounds power over time. Others fear loss because it threatens their sense of self. You use loss to refine strategy. Comment the phrase, "I need nothing, I choose everything." If you recognize how dependence has been quietly shaping your decisions, let that phrase cut through any remaining illusion. Independence also sharpens your standards. You stop tolerating disrespect disguised as familiarity. You stop negotiating with people who only show value when you chase. You stop explaining your boundaries. You simply enforce them through absence, silence, or consequence. This recalibrates social dynamics faster than confrontation ever could. People either rise to meet your standard or remove themselves. Both outcomes benefit you. In Machiavellian mode, detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. You see relationships, environments, and opportunities as they are, not as you wish them to be. This allows you to exit bad positions early and commit fully to aligned ones without hesitation. Independence also frees your time and attention. You stop monitoring reactions. You stop waiting for responses. You stop replaying conversations. That mental space returns to you as focus, creativity, and strategic patience. Over months, this creates a visible difference in how you move. You become slower to engage, quicker to decide, harder to sway. People begin to consult you rather than challenge you. They sense that you are not invested in proving anything. That absence of need is intimidating because it cannot be exploited. Comment again. I need nothing. I choose everything. If this lands deeper now, notice how this principle ties everything together. Silence removes exposure. Vision removes confusion. Emotional discipline removes reactivity. Patience removes urgency. Perception management removes resistance. Independence removes control. At this stage, domination is no longer aggressive, it is structural. You are not overpowering individuals. You are operating from a position where outcomes favor you by default. This is why Machiavellian power looks effortless from the outside. The work is internal, unseen, and relentless. Dependence is noisy, independence is quiet, and quiet power reshapes reality without asking for permission. When you need nothing, every interaction becomes optional. Optional interactions favor the man who can walk away without loss. That is leverage in its purest form. Number 8. Make your presence inevitable without force. True domination is reached when you no longer need to push, persuade, intimidate, or prove, because your presence alone alters behavior. This is the final internal shift where power stops being something you perform and becomes something others feel before you even speak. Most men try to impose authority externally through volume, aggression, credentials, or status symbols, but these are compensations for internal instability. Machiavellian dominance works in reverse. You remove instability first, and authority emerges naturally as a side effect. When your silence is disciplined, your vision clear, your emotions governed, your patience strategic, your perception controlled, and your dependence eliminated, something subtle but decisive happens. People begin to adjust themselves around you. Conversations slow when you enter. Explanations become more careful. Challenges soften into suggestions. This is not coincidence. Humans subconsciously test for certainty and anchor themselves to it when they find it. Masculine stoicism at this level becomes contagious. Others mirror your composure because it provides psychological safety. Dark psychology here is not manipulation, but inevitability. You are no longer competing for dominance. You are redefining the terrain on which dominance operates. This is why the strongest leaders rarely announce authority. They assume it quietly, and others comply because resistance feels irrational. Your presence becomes a stabilizing force. You do not rush. You do not overreact. You do not chase validation. That lack of need is read as surplus power. People trust surplus. They defer to it. Inevitability is built through consistency over time. You show up the same under pressure as you do in calm moments. You do not contradict yourself emotionally. You do not explain your confidence. You simply act when it matters and disappear when it does not. This trains others to watch your movements carefully because they are rare and consequential. Scarcity again creates value. When you finally speak, your words land heavier because they are not diluted by constant commentary. This is how your presence begins to shape outcomes before action occurs. Meetings end differently. Negotiations tilt subtly. Conflicts dissolve without confrontation, not because you are feared in a theatrical sense, but because people sense that pushing you would be inefficient, costly, or pointless. That perception protects you. Inevitability also requires detachment from outcomes. The man who needs a specific result telegraphs pressure. Pressure invites resistance. When you are unattached, you gain flexibility. You can walk away, delay, or pivot without emotional residue. That freedom destabilizes opponents because they rely on predictable desire to negotiate leverage. When desire is absent, leverage evaporates. In Machiavellian mode, you cultivate optionality relentlessly. You never put yourself in positions where only one outcome preserves your identity. Identity is fluid. Strategy is fixed. This makes you dangerous in the cleanest possible way. People cannot corner you because you are not clinging to any single version of success. Inevitability also emerges from alignment. Your actions match your values. Your values match your boundaries. Your boundaries match your behavior. There are no leaks, no contradictions, no emotional tells. This coherence is rare, and rarity commands respect. Humans distrust fragmented personalities. They trust integrated ones. When your inner game is integrated, your outer game becomes frictionless. Comment the phrase, "My presence decides outcomes." If you feel the gravity of this stage, type it once, then read it again slowly. My presence decides outcomes. This is not arrogance, it is responsibility. At this level, you also understand when not to be present. Withdrawal becomes strategic. Absence becomes instructional. When you remove your attention, environments lose structure. People notice. They feel the difference. This teaches them your value without a word. You are not punishing anyone. You are simply reallocating energy. Energy allocation is power allocation. Inevitability is also reinforced by long memory and short emotion. You remember patterns, you forget slights. You do not hold grudges emotionally, but you record data precisely. This allows you to adjust access, trust, and proximity without drama. People often mistake forgiveness for weakness, but Machiavellian intelligence separates emotional forgiveness from strategic amnesia. You forgive internally to stay clear, but you never forget what behavior reveals. This balance keeps you light and lethal at the same time. Over time, your environment reorganizes itself. Opportunists drift away. Serious individuals draw closer. Noise decreases. Signal increases. You begin operating among fewer but higher caliber interactions. That alone accelerates dominance. Comment again. My presence decides outcomes. If this insight sharpens your awareness of how much power you already carry when properly structured, notice how none of this requires aggression, threats, or manipulation. It requires restraint, clarity, and internal alignment. This is why few reach this stage. It demands patience without praise and discipline without applause. But once established, it compounds. Each interaction reinforces the next. Each decision builds reputation quietly. Eventually, people pre-adjust to you. They anticipate your standards. They self-correct. They bring you solutions instead of problems. That is inevitability. You are no longer reacting to reality. Reality is reacting to you. This is the inner game Machiavellian Mode exists to teach. Not domination through fear, but dominance through structure so solid it cannot be ignored. When your presence alone alters the field, you have crossed from strategy into sovereignty. Number 9. Become untouchable by detaching from outcomes. The final internal seal of Machiavellian dominance is not control, strength, or intelligence, but detachment from outcomes, because the moment you emotionally bind yourself to a specific result, you reintroduce vulnerability into an otherwise airtight system. Most men collapse here without realizing it. They master silence, discipline, patience, perception, and independence, yet still leak power by needing things to go a certain way. Need is the last weakness. Detachment does not mean apathy or lack of ambition, it means freedom from desperation. You still aim precisely, but you are not psychologically owned by success or failure. When you detach, your nervous system relaxes, your decisions sharpen, and your behavior becomes unpredictable in the most dangerous way. Dark psychology understands this deeply. Humans sense attachment immediately. Attachment creates pressure. Pressure invites resistance, manipulation, and delay. The detached man radiates calm certainty because his identity does not hinge on any single outcome. This makes negotiation tilt in his favor. Others feel the imbalance without being able to name it. Masculine stoicism here becomes surgical. You act fully, then release the result. If it lands, you capitalize. If it fails, you adjust without emotional residue. This makes you impossible to destabilize. Insults lose power because they threaten nothing you depend on. Delays lose impact because time no longer controls your mood. Rejection becomes information, not injury. This is how men become untouchable. Detachment also dissolves fear. Fear exists to protect what you cannot afford to lose. When you can afford to lose outcomes, fear has no foothold. You still calculate risk, but you are no longer paralyzed by it. This is why detached men often take cleaner, bolder actions. They are not reckless. They are unburdened. Their clarity intimidates those who are still emotionally invested. In Machiavellian mode, detachment turns action into expression rather than compensation. You are no longer trying to prove worth, intelligence, dominance, or value. You are simply executing strategy. That shift is palpable. people feel when a man is acting from abundance rather than hunger. Abundance attracts compliance. Hunger attracts exploitation. Detachment also protects your inner silence. When outcomes do not own you, external noise fades naturally. You stop replaying scenarios. You stop fantasizing about validation. You stop fearing worst-case outcomes. This mental stillness compounds daily. Over time, it becomes your baseline state. Calm stops being a tactic and becomes your nature. That is when dominance stabilizes. Comment the phrase, "I act without attachment." If you recognize how often need has been disguising itself as ambition, let that phrase recalibrate your internal posture. Detachment also refines timing. When you are not rushing to secure an outcome, you naturally wait for better moments. You see openings others miss because they are emotionally sprinting. This patience without effort is one of the rarest advantages in competitive environments. Most pressure is self-inflicted. When you remove it, you gain clarity others cannot access. This is why detached men often appear lucky. Luck follows clarity. Another critical effect of detachment is moral composure. You stop justifying yourself internally. You do not need to frame your actions as good, fair, or deserved in the moment. You evaluate later, privately, with honesty. This prevents impulsive moralizing, which is just ego in disguise. Machiavellian intelligence separates ethics from emotion. You decide your code calmly and live by it consistently without announcement. That consistency builds internal trust. You trust yourself because you are not hijacked by mood or outcome. Self-trust is the deepest form of confidence. It cannot be shaken externally. Over time, this detachment creates an eerie effect. People feel safe around you, yet cautious. They sense you are not trying to extract anything from them emotionally. That neutrality disarms manipulation attempts. Manipulators rely on hooks. You present none. This makes you expensive to engage improperly. Only clean, direct interaction remains. That filters your environment automatically. Comment again. I act without attachment. If this lands deeper now, notice how this stage completes the inner architecture. Silence removes exposure. Vision removes blindness. Discipline removes reactivity. Patience removes urgency. Perception removes resistance. Independence removes leverage. Inevitability removes challenge. Detachment removes vulnerability. At this point, domination is not something you seek. It is a condition you operate from. You no longer chase control. You embody it. This is why, truly, powerful men appear calm even when outcomes are uncertain. Uncertainty threatens only those who are attached. You are not. You move, observe, adjust, and continue. Reality becomes a series of inputs, not a verdict on your worth. That is untouchability. When nothing external can destabilize you, nothing external can dominate you. Number 10. Seal the inner game and rule in silence. This is where everything locks into place, where the inner game stops being something you practice and becomes the way you exist. Dominance at this level is no longer situational, it is structural. You do not turn it on and off, you carry it. You move through the world with a calibrated stillness that cannot be rushed, baited, or diluted. Silence is now natural, not forced. Vision is sharp, without effort. Emotional discipline is automatic. Patience no longer feels like waiting. It feels like alignment. You are not trying to dominate reality anymore because reality has already adjusted to your frame. This is the quiet sovereignty Machiavellian Mode is designed to forge. At this stage, you understand a final truth most never grasp. Power maintained loudly decays quickly, but power maintained silently compounds. You stop announcing lessons. You stop correcting people unnecessarily. You stop seeking agreement. Your certainty does not require witnesses. When conflict appears, you do not rush to extinguish it or escalate it. You let it reveal itself fully. Weak positions collapse under their own weight when given time. Strong positions reveal themselves without demand. You choose where to apply pressure and where to withdraw attention entirely. That selectivity is mastery. Masculine stoicism here becomes elegant. You are warm without being soft, firm without being rigid, distant without being cold. Dark psychology becomes unnecessary because your structure alone governs outcomes. People feel where they stand with you without you having to explain it. Boundaries are felt, not spoken. Respect is given, not negotiated. This is the point where you stop collecting techniques and start embodying principles. Techniques require energy. Principles save it. Your energy is now conserved, directed, and lethal only when necessary. You no longer feel the need to win every exchange because you are no longer measuring yourself by exchanges. You measure yourself by trajectory. Day by day, your life becomes quieter, cleaner, and more controlled. Fewer people have access to you. Fewer problems reach you. Fewer emotions pull at you. In return, your influence deepens. When you do speak, people listen. When you do act, people remember. When you do withdraw, people notice the absence. That is presence refined. This is why the final seal of the inner game is commitment without noise. You do not tell people you have changed. You let time demonstrate it. You do not threaten consequences. You let patterns teach them. You do not chase power. You remove everything that obstructs it internally, and power fills the space automatically. This is the Machiavellian paradox: domination achieved without domination-seeking behavior. At this level, your only remaining task is consistency. You guard your silence. You protect your focus. You respect your patience. You honor your detachment. Not because someone is watching, but because this structure is now who you are. And structures, once compromised, collapse quickly. So you remain disciplined, not dramatically, but relentlessly. This is how men become untouchable without becoming isolated, powerful without becoming loud, respected without becoming cruel. Comment the phrase, "Silent mind, absolute control." To mark that you understand this is not content, it is code. Let that phrase be your reminder when ego stirs or impatience whispers. And if this monologue sharpened you, anchor it. Like the video, subscribe to Machiavellian Mode. Turn on notifications, not for motivation, but for reinforcement. This path is walked quietly, but not alone.